Welcome back to Game 2 of River State's Conference Baseball Series between IU Southeast and the visiting Ohio Christian Trailblazers. Game 1 concluded roughly 30 minutes ago. IU Southeast became victorious by a final score of 12-2 in 8 innings. And it looks like they will turn to freshman right-hander Connor Sims to try to get them a win here in Game 2. Game 2, of course, is a 7-inning game. So do keep that in mind, as you may see some different strategies employed by the coaches as it is a shorter contest. I'll give you quickly the batting order for Ohio Christian. Leading off will be Smith, Fry, and Sterrett, followed by Clark, DeBoard, Haller, Crane, Keener, and rounding out the lineup will be Henry. They're slated to face Connor Sims, who is a Greenfield, Indiana native. Set the defense for you, starting with the outfield for IU Southeast. From left to right in the outfield is Colin Long, Mason White, and Braden Hazelwood. That will stay the same as Game 1. And your infield will remain the same as Game 1. It'll be Slater Shield at third, Cody Putnam at short, Ethan Burdett at second, and Max Flock over at first base. So the battery mate with Connor Sims here in Game 2 will be Casey Brown, the Louisville, Kentucky native.
I'm excited to see Sims. And this kid's a dude. I mean, when we signed him last year, we knew he was going to be good, but this kid's the real deal for a freshman, especially at a small college. He's got big-time stuff.
He took a little hiatus away from the rotation and had some, what I'd say, pretty elite relief appearances, but does get the nod back for his first conference start for the freshman, as first pitch from him is going to be fouled off. I appear the mask of the home plate umpire, so right to it, and going to have a little shaken up umpire. Maybe caught him in the hand, mask.
A little double dip will make you earn it. It's like, dude, that's, hey, shout out to Steven Branca tuning in, my idol.
We're just trying to be as good as he is up here.
Yeah, it's like, I got me and Hawk. We're over here like, some people get up and go to the gym. Everyone, we're getting up and listening to broadcast, kind of sharpen the.
Just tuning into UCF.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the worst part probably
the
is
0-1 pitch. Sorry to cut you off there.
Good.
So even count 1-1.
Break, it's like you're fumbling the ball. No, I think the worst part of small college baseball is the double dip. Man,
the 9 and the 7.
What's crazy in the minor leagues, you play a doubleheader, you play 7-inning games. Yet college baseball is this thing where it's like, we're going to double dip and we're going to go 2 9s or a 9. It's like, why?
Cost money
because
it saves you travel
make
day.
It 2
or
7s.
Hotel. Yeah, hey, we used to do 4 7s, and a half-hearted swing there. But you're gonna have to make the play as Brown, and a good job to get Smith. So good start by Connor Sims here.
Squints Palladores behind the dish. Casey Brown, tough-nosed Louisville native, is
He's a Cal kid.
Yeah, his dad. He comes from a long line of baseball coaches. But I really like Casey. Started his career off at Midway, and he's a good player. Good addition for the Grinnies. It's tough to find good personalities behind the plate. I think that's essential. I think a lot of people overlook that. The catcher, in my opinion, is not a position player. Obviously, he's not a pitcher, but he's the guy that kind of bridges the gap. And I know I've been really philosophical over the years about catchers because I was one, but it takes a special breed to be good at it.
A 1-1 pitch. A good one, a breaking ball in there for called strike 2 to Braden Fry. But this first year IU Southeast has had a catcher that hasn't been in the program for 4+ years since 2019, and that would have just been Brody Tanksley's second year. So good job there by Sims. Another good breaking ball. So back-to-back strikeouts for Sims, and he is off and running.
Now, speaking of that, it's kind of crazy to think back, looking at my career, I've had a lot of time to ponder some things. Do you remember in 2018 when we played an elimination game in Hattiesburg against William Carey, and we started a true freshman behind the dish in that game? it's like people talk about, trusting their players. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, once again, the catcher's the most important part. I mean, I would lean to that. But it's just, yeah, you're right. I think and that is a theme this year with the Grenadiers. I mean, replacing a just an illustrious group of guys that manned the dish for really a decade. I mean, going back to Trent Simpson, and starting in 16 and then having –
or even Pope the year before.
Yeah, exactly.
Pope. As that one smoked into the gap, and that's going to be a leadoff hit. We'll see if it's for extra bases, and Ben Sterrett going to find his way back to first. So not at the Trailblazers, rather, not going quiet, as good job there by the right fielder for Ohio Christian to extend the inning and bring up the designated hitter now, Ridge Clark.
Yeah, Pope in 15, Simpson in 16, Tanner, and then Brody 17, 18, and then obviously Brody in 19, 21, Ben Berenda, mixing in there, starting in 21 and beyond. But anyway, fast forward, they're going to have to work it out with Sims. I mean, Sims, he's got some hop in it. I mean,
and it's an aggressive high spin overhand breaking ball too. So if he's able to locate that, especially for a strike, so they can't just take it out of play, it's going to be a tough day. I can tell you that. Something I was more of a slider guy, not overhand breaking ball, so I would have loved to have that, as that'll make way as that's popped up in the infield for Cody Putnam, and he'll make the play. So the 2-out base hit does not come to amount to anything as far as an offensive run, so we'll head to the bottom of the first. No score here in New Albany. Slater Shield will be your leadoff for the Grenadiers. I'll give you the Grenadier lineup. It is pretty much the same. We're just going to insert Casey Brown for Logan Murphy. So it'll be Shield followed by White, Putnam, Powell, Burdette, Flock, Brown, Hazelwood, and Long. As the first pitch is going to be outside by the pitcher Ross Donaldson for Ohio Christian.
Pet peeve. Umpire calling a strike and not looking to where he's calling it. Hey. No. I'm actually critiqued a lot of umpires. I think it's from umpiring summer tournaments and knowing that anybody can be better when you took a group of 4 or 5 guys that were pretty much wearing catcher's gear back there in the summer, and they were working for hot dogs and high fives. And they could
Hey, those Jimmy John subs got me through summers. As the 0-2 pitch from Donaldson is going to be high.
Yeah, you can hate it all you want, but watching you guys try to swallow a sword after a quadruple header in 90-degree weather, I mean, I could say otherwise.
This will be the 3rd start on the campaign for Ross Donaldson, as that's going to be a slider. It's going to miss outside. He comes into this one with a 4.76 ERA across 11 1/3 innings. Has a 1-for-1, 9-9 on the strikeouts to walk ratio. So, and that one's going to catch a piece of Slater. So,
and the baby blue flippers on out there. Anybody that it's definitely a new trend now, and maybe it's like even like Acuna and some of the guys like he's wearing like anybody that does something with their glove or their uniform that makes them noticeable. It's like you better be a guy. I don't know. Is that?
I tried to be that as a freshman with gold-plated cleats, and it didn't work out. So
walking the first readers of a game, it's like what? Let's just start this game off with a rally. You know what? Let's make today it's midweek. Let's make it tough. Let's just give them a 5 spot. Hey, but I will say this. We were actually talking about this, I don't know, a while back. But do you remember one of your first outings against Huntington that year?
Yeah, that was my first start.
Dude, that was
That's going to be bunted down the line. That's a great one. Fry coming on to make a play. Not in time. Good effort there by Fry, but a better placed bunt. I don't think I've ever seen Mason White bunt for a hit, but he's definitely got the tool. So Grenadiers are cooking. Runners on first and second, nobody out.
That's awesome. I'll tell you what makes my heart skip a beat is seeing Greg Opel out there. Shout out to Greg Opel. Just an absolute incredible presence for the Grenadiers. Coaching first base this season. Somebody that's been around our program for a long time. I could sit up here and probably start a podcast on great Grenadier assistant coaches that did so much for our program. Believe it or not, and you guys don't remember this, but before we had an indoor facility, we used to pilgrimage 40 minutes one way. So 2 hours pretty much.
There's another bunt attempt there, and that one not going to stay fair. So Grenadiers showing that's kind of going to be their approach early on in this one.
Yeah, but, Greg's one of those guys that, back in 2011, randomly met me when I first started coaching here and invited us out to use his facility. And I think some of, and my former boss is sitting behind me, would say that, some of our treks to practice hitting were
less than
they were
ideal.
I mean, they were like, you could probably write us. I mean, most scary movies opened up with one of those trips. I mean, it was like we pretty much went sledding to some of them. But anyway, over the years, guys like him, just seeing him out there on the field with Nat, 2 guys that, have poured so much in this program, it makes me feel great.
Donaldson steps off for his 1 reset. Has his sign and looks to deliver the 0-1 to Putnam. Bunt defense on, and the bunt attempt is there. That one in plenty of time is Fry.
Let's play.
So good job there by the second baseman Smith to kind of catch that on the run and swipe the bag with his foot. So that'll be a sacrifice 5-4 for Putnam and makes the way for the designated hitter Luke Powell.
Yeah, there's a devout commitment this year of team baseball and, really, using different ways to score runs and, put ourselves in advantage situations that I think is it's weird. It's when I watch it, like we talked about at times, it kind of catches me off guard, but I think it just shows the commitment to the program's leadership. Brett runs this differently than I did in terms of an offense, but the guys can do it. I mean, and it's not like they can just do it. They have to practice it to be able to execute it, and they do it, early and often.
Yeah. And so, like you mentioned, not exactly what we're used to seeing because draw it up for your 3-hole hitter, 2 guys on in the first inning. you're looking for a healthy hack, and there's a healthy hack there by Powell. That's popped up right around home plate, and the catcher is going to put that away. So good job by Haller, and now that's the danger, though, that you face. I say danger as brings up the hottest hitter on this Grenadier team who went 5 for 5 in game one.
I say danger in the catcher, man. He is ready. He's got a welding mask on. I mean, isn't it crazy? Do you remember the old Oakleys that would like cover?
Oh yeah, the M1s.
I mean,
or the M frames.
I mean, they covered like your cheeks, like they protected like skin from UV rays, not just eyeballs. But and then went through a phase where it was like we had the Morpheus.
Yeah.
Glasses on of like, I used to wear them like the smallest Oakleys you could ever picture. They were like
you're in the Matrix.
Like if you like act surprised, like your eyes were exposed, like you're like, whoa. It was like, oh my. That's kind of
First pitch to Burdette. He's in there for a called strike. Donaldson looking to escape a jam, and he's going to step off. That's going to be his first reset, or his only reset rather, for Burdette. As unable to get entirely on the same page with Haller so far. That one's going to be a called strike.
Yeah, see, I think this was my thing with coaching and how I ran an offense is anytime I called something and it wasn't executed like I pictured it in my mind, I just totally abandoned it. It was like
0-2 pitch. Burdette puts a good swing on that one. Not sure if it's going to have enough. And there to make the catch is Spencer Crane. So the quick start for Grenadiers ends up coming up short. So we'll head to the top of the second. Still scoreless.
Something we kind of mentioned earlier was with the five-hole. Talked about the lineup, coming up. 5-hole bats in the first, in order. It's like he's going to hit with guys on base and probably 2 outs.
Absolutely. So we'll come back in just a moment. Tate DeBoard set to lead off as Connor Sims will be in his second inning of work. First pitch cut on and missed.
I think I just love what I love the most about Sims as I'm watching him is just his tempo, like watching him between innings. I know we were in kind of conversation, but just his commitment to tempo and just advancing the team closer and closer. It's just like he's just.
That one hit high, but not far as Putnam under there to make the first out.
And you had this when you played, but one of my biggest pet peeves as a catcher was seeing the numbers on the back of the pitcher's jersey. I don't know what it was, but then people would say, I remember, coaches growing up, and I had some pretty tough ones. Shout out to Jay Malott from high school, who was Hall of Famer. Mike Policastro, but was like, we don't want to see your numbers when you're chasing balls to the backstop reel. It's like, so then in effect, I didn't want to see a pitcher that, that's why we have the turf halo around the mound, which most of our viewers probably even know that we have a turf halo around our mound because of what we call the Trail of Tears.
Yeah.
At the end of every summer tournament season after, 100 games on our field, there would be, our mound would look like a compass. There would be like a trail to every base that they would pick off to. And
Good breaking ball there from Sims to get Hollard down looking, as that was, a couple power breaking balls there, not to interrupt you, but working quick.
It's a good one. It reminds me of Renton Poole, to be completely honest with you. It really does. I know Renton was a different body type. The kid had a neck that was on par with a giraffe. He was like, man, that thing is long. But anyway, like just with Renton Poole, you didn't know if it was a breaking ball or a fastball unless you threw a radar gun up,
So that'll make way for Spencer Crane, and he's going to have a half-hearted swing, tries to check it, but not in time.
Do you remember that at the conference tournament? Watching Renton Poole, what was it? Renton Poole and Zach Harvey, I think, go at it?
That's exactly what it was. Back in 2019, the River States Conference.
Rain Man.
As a pitcher, it was always fun to watch.
And
I vividly remember that because, simple brag, I beat out Renton Poole for first team all-conference. Mm-hmm. So, because Zach Harvey won the only starting pitcher in the first team all-conference that year. Mm-hmm. We'd paid our dues in the conference at that point.
Hey, what about senior year against Ohio Christian? I put you in. Is it the 7th or the 9th?
We'll get to that story in the next half of Ohio Christian goes down in order, and we'll head to the bottom of the second. Scoreless. Max Flock will step in here to lead things off in the bottom of the second.
I wonder if Max's name, like his real name, like his full name is Maximus, because that would be like the only, it's got to be.
The first non-Maxwell. And that first pitch, he's going to hit that high into
right field.
Standard right field, I guess. I was going to say shallow, but it wasn't shallow. So that's going to be one pitch, one out there for Ross Donaldson. And, kind of what we'd mentioned as Casey Brown steps in.
So, yeah, story time.
So bases loaded, run on first and second.
Time out. Where were we? You got to set the scene.
So, this was spring 2019 as a bunt attempt by Casey Brown, pulls back, called strike. So at this point, we
2019.
We'd ran off. I think every time we'd played Ohio Christian, we were able to win, and it's 0-0. In 2019, Chaz Adams goes 7 strong. And I come in, and this would have been a traditional end. I was probably going to try to finish the game, but scoreless.
Bases loaded.
Bases loaded, and do an inside move to pick the guy off with 2 outs. So ends the bases loaded threat, and then I proceed to go 7 1/3 innings in relief, scoreless the entire time, and that we were lucky enough to still squeak out the win. But that being the first time that we thought. Blood's going to get us.
Yeah. No, I remember that. It's crazy because that was back in if you remember, until your last year, kind of battled what I think a lot of players battle. It's most of your life, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, talking for pitchers, which I've never been really good at, but it's like most guys have, started, they didn't relieve a lot, and it was like you pitch 1 inning a week, and it's like, how you feel? Like, I feel all right. It's like that week you threw 7 in your appearance, the next week you're like, I'm good. It was like, you know what? You're starting this week.
Well,
I was notorious for that.
Well, and it was back, so the weekend before, you go to me in the second inning of the 7-inning game at Point Park, and I end up finishing. So I go like a 5 1/3 inning appearance out of the bullpen. Then I go 7 2/3, and they're like, you know what? You're going to start against IUK in Game 3 is after I was warming up in Game 2.
Oh my gosh! Only game you threw a changeup for a strike in your entire career.
I went CG shutout in my first start of the year, and I don't even care about that because I'm literally coming off the mound. I'm like, did you guys just see what happened? I threw a changeup for a strike.
That when I think of your career, that is Hall of Fame, like gold-plated #1.
And Hazelwood's going to pop that one up in the infield as Stoner was off on the pitch, but he'll retreat back to first. So now there's 2 away for the Grenadiers, and that'll make way for Colin Long.
That one, and then the other one was when you came in the national tournament after Jack Woolard against St. X.
My last appearance.
Man, that was really overlooked. That was just like nails in the coffin, man. Obviously that whole game was, really, really cool. Gwinnett, their national tournament experiences.
And that's going to be just in time. So a strong throw by the shortstop, Keener. So we're going to head to the top of the third. Is a quick inning there by Ohio Christian, and this one will stay scoreless. Connor Sims back out for his 3rd inning of work. And first pitch swinging is the shortstop, Keener.
I think that brings up a good point we're talking about in the break there of just, I think every program has a way of going about their business, but I think something that we did, Hawk, in our time, and I've been, like we talked about earlier, I've known you for 11 years. You were the first ever sophomore to commit here.
I didn't commit till I was a junior. That one's going to be hit and caught by Burdett.
Yeah, but sophomore year, like fresh off the fastball off the forehead when you got airlifted out of a random tournament for, Battle of the Bling somewhere in southern Tennessee.
Northern Arkansas.
Okay, no, whatever. So, yeah, that's
potato.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like somewhere in a mud puddle in the
That'll bring up the center fielder, Henry.
Mississippi River Basin somewhere where it floods.
First pitch to him is going to be outside.
No, but my style, looking back on it, was people would say it was really weird because, my dad growing up was always somebody that, really analyzed, I don't know, all my decisions, but I would just go off field. It'd be like middle of the year. It's like our number 3. It's like, you know what? We're drawing straws, Johnny. You're up. And everybody's like, what? 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 Gold-plated cleats? What? I mean, like,
that'll turn the lineup over for Carter Smith. But I mean, that one of the things you and I always talk about is coming in to face Point Park bases loaded. I assume a full count with 2 outs and the bases loaded.
Yeah. It's like go out and throw
Just
one
be like,
pitch.
nope, I need this guy.
But I mean, I was the king of that. I would hook you. I would hook somebody like I just see like 2 pitches and be like, time. I'm like, what? You gonna talk to him? No. Bullpen. They're like, what? Like the umpires would even be like, what?
That one, a good diving play there by Shield, and he gets up and fires the throw. So back-to-back quick innings. So they
give us a
match.
chance to tell a story, kid.
So Sims absolutely rolling great tempo, and we'll head to the bottom of the 3rd. Still scoreless here in New Albany. So we have a quick-paced event here in Game 2 as we're already to the bottom of the 3rd, as I'm definitely jinxing that one. Top of the lineup for the Grenadiers now, Slater Shield will face Ross Donaldson for the 2nd time, and first pitch to him is going to be in the dirt for a ball.
So I think what I want to do is I want to make like this pitch of we turn this into story time and we just get like all the alums to listen in, and then we just kind of like I sit around all week and doodle on stories we can tell on like My Little Pony backpack, Undy Paul on the ground, Trent Simpson jumping in was even jumping
the
in
creek lake thing at Rio. As that one's hit high, that's going to be foul. As he got his barrel out in front, but
the creek, there was like standing oil on top of the water in that runoff. I mean, that was like an EPA violation waiting to happen. He gets on the bus and the uniform's like stained with like heavy metals. And
yeah,
I remember thinking like, am I going to get in trouble that this kid just jumped into some type of, like, you remember the movie with not Sigourney Weaver, but Sandra Bullock, where she like gets DuPont for putting. Like, it's in West Virginia. She's like, there's like the non-stick in the pan, and people are getting Alzheimer's from it because it's like a runoff. You guys don't remember. Okay, whatever.
I'm not a movie person, I'll be honest.
Anyway.
3-1 count here to Shield.
We get all the alums that tune in, and we just like start like getting like a text thread of just like stories that we want to mention on air. Just
And that one's in there. Good pitch for a called strike. Yeah. Many years of stories that I'm a part of, and then obviously you transcend,
dude, you were
18 of them. So
yeah, but those were like so old we'd have to like
dust them off.
Yeah, it's like we got guys like pulling pensions right now from like my early years. I mean, they're like approaching retirement.
Good
like,
play there from Keener, as he'll get.
They probably
for
think
the first out.
They probably think we're still keeping score on a book in the dugout. Like not. It's like you got a 9 score. Whoa, this place is getting big time around here.
You can still dive under the fence, even though you can maybe down first baseline. But
no, but I would really love to like make a pitch and make a initiative to all of our alums just to kind of tune in, not only follow the program, but hear some of the. Like I've said forever. I mean, we could literally write a book, or have a solid 20-minute documentary on the singers that came out of this place, where Yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of really cool stories over the years that I think are
And I
very.
mean, sometimes literal singers even.
Yeah, I mean,
Was it not only Boo Crabtree?
yeah,
was
Boo
great,
Crabtree.
but
Hey, shout out to Boo Crabtree, who came up to me before our first game and said, "Hey, coach, I'm changing my arm slot before the day of his first start in college." Like, whoa, 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 whoa.
1-1 pitch to Mason, and that one is hammered. That's going to break his drought a little bit, as that's going to get down. Thought it was out a little bit, so that one's on me, but a double nonetheless, as that one was smoked by Mason. So a little shine of light.
Should ask Steven. Steven had the binoculars out. He knew that the ball was down. I told you, the moment I'm waiting for is where I'm like, that ball is not out of here. Like,
A missile from Mason White nonetheless, so that'll be a double off the wall. And there'll be a runner in scoring position now for Cody Putnam.
you know, what I want to ask you is, like, looking back on your decade around this program, what are you going to miss the most about it when it's over?
That is a great question.
Because that's the kind of stuff I've been thinking about, as I watch you guys. The first game I watched in the first of the year, I watched ants play. I turned into the broadcast at Bryan, and it looks like we're watching, like, my son play with pieces of Play-Doh, and they're like, it's like, whoa, where's the ball at? It's like follow people moving. I'm like, oh, the play's over there.
Donaldson delivers strike one there to even things up. I think for me, and to be real honest and transparent as someone who's trying to stay in athletic administration, I think the one thing that I would miss most, if and when I move on from this university, is being able to relate to the student athletes in the sense of I did it here too. I think that's one thing that I think is hard to replicate. It's a good pitch there from Donaldson. But, it's very easy for me to look at some, especially of our baseball guys or softball players or whomever I'm talking to, volleyball, tennis, basketball. I know what that's like because I had that same professor or I did A, B, or C. So it's one of those things. I think that's going to be the thing that's missed by me the most when and if that happens. But
yeah, shout out to Logan Coughlin tuning in. Yeah, Grant Anderson could sing. I remember the first time he got on the mic, and it was like, yo, what's this kid? And then he went to
that
Nashville.
freshman Yoki?
And then freshman. Oh, yeah. I mean, dude, some of the greatest moments that we ever spent were on the bus. Remember when Brian Mackey let off a full-blown stink bomb on the bus like a firecracker,
and in the hotel, or Jake Harden refusing to get. Wasn't even booed off. He's just like, all right, Harden, you're done. He's like, no, I'm going to finish all of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, it was so bad. I think Gary was the bus driver, and we just muted the mic, and everybody it's weird. I'm guessing Jake Harden at Linton High School is probably doing the same thing when he's going to the state, because I mean they're going to have some state championship caliber teams. Don't let Coach Harden on the mic. If he runs karaoke, don't let him fool you. He never won it. He never even passed the test of karaoke. He's still in like the Gong Show. It was like, nope. No, but I think what you said is what I miss the most is being close. Because as a coach, you're not a player. And it took me like a decade to realize that. But as being close to the guys, I mean, it keeps you young. Mike Polycast from All Coach said, be real, why would you quit coaching, man? It keeps you young. And I remember being like, no, it doesn't. Eating good and hitting the treadmill does. But truthfully, it really does. It's being that close to pure, like the laughs and the jokes and the stories of what, they got into off the field or what happened or what was said. Or it just, man, it's like every day is like its own little sitcom.
Absolutely. As that full count pitch is going to be popped up into foul territory.
Look at Nat move.
Nat moving, getting out of the way. So Fry there to make the catch in foul territory.
The Cavs coming in play. Did you see the explosiveness of that first step? I mean, it was like he's waiting his whole life to just explode off that planted foot.
So 2 outs now for IU Southeast. Mason White still at second. And that brings up Luke Powell.
I remember the first time you beating your chest and being like, let's go. I remember whoa, that kind of caught me off guard. It's kind of like, man, that was crazy. It was like, I just didn't, I mean, it happens with all kinds of guys. Like Jack Drew be like, let's get it, boys. It's like, he's got his hair down like middle of his back. You're kind of like, is he using like the horse shampoo, like hair? What's it called?
Mane and tail.
Mane and tail. Like, I'm just like, when did Jack Cutter show up like the next year with like, his dad was so proud of like his rock and roll hair. It was like, I mean, this was like, and Jack, for those who don't know Jack
Jay
Drew,
Diesel.
oh my gosh, I mean, this was like, he like enters the game, and it was like, actually, I thought it should have been that way, and it was like, it was all a dream. Steve, Word Up Magazine. It was like, wow, it's coming out to like B.I.G. Whoa, it kind of threw me off. But then
I think his first walk up.
I mean, he almost got cut
was
like
John
8.
Cena. Remember that was his first walk up.
But let's go back to Jack. Remember Jack like almost got cut 8 weeks in a row. Like it was like, Jack, if you don't get 20 for 30 out of King of the Hill, you're done. He was like, I got you, coach. And it was like him and Trent like game planning how he could frame and like beat the system of like, I'm throwing on Franz's side. Franz was just like, spot, yep, spot. I'm like, no. But anyway, like turned out to be just all these great stories of just, gosh, remember like the old bounce pass, like all the just the laughs, and man, like once that has subsided now in my life,
Mason taking off, but it's not going to matter as that's going to be strike 3 swinging for Powell.
I just miss that. That's what I'll miss the most, is seeing you and being like, I don't know, just like, and I'll always forever miss it. And maybe in 5 years I'll come back out here and be like, so what are these guys' names? But it won't be, because like they are a part of the helix of our DNA. Like they're part of us, man. And I think that's what'd be cool. And these days you're gonna bring your kid here, and you're gonna be like, hey, Dad played here, and he's gonna be like, you were like good enough to play baseball? It's like, yeah, look me up, Google me if it's still around.
Google
it's
me.
Like ask Chat GPT-4. Was Kyle Hawkins a strike thrower? Yes, he was.
Well, that'll take us to the top of the 4th. Still no score here in New Albany. Two, 3, 4 due up for Ohio Christian in the form of Fry, Starrett, and Clark, as they will face Sims now out in his 4th inning of work. And right back to business as he fires strike 1.
Another pet peeve is like when you've got a dude on the mound, and I always saw this, I think at times in my career, where it's like we get him today, and tomorrow we got our guy going. It's like the next day, it's like, your guy's out there just shoving. It's like it's 0-0 in the 8th. You're just like, gosh, dang it. I mean, like, how to like.
Story of Jacob deGrom's career.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird, man. But then when you got like midweek, and you live this like midweek, we're playing Cumberland U, and you're like, oh, we're gonna Johnny Holstaff. It's like, we're gonna put up 20 runs. It's like, of course we are.
Maybe like a little mentality or a little thought of the offense, like we don't have to do a lot, as that one is going to be off the hands from Fry, but Burdette makes the 3rd most common play in college baseball. That'll be an F4. Shout out Ben Real on the statistics.
Yeah, I know, 643 charts. They're not a sponsor, but coming through.
Ben Starrett steps in for his 2nd at-bat.
So, Hawk, who do you think in your time here was not so much the most memorable, but the most, I don't know, like entertaining assistant coach that we had? I mean, it's
entertaining assistant coach, hands down, Brian Kaufman. And I will carry that one to the grave and with potatoes.
Oh, man, Big Koff daddy. Yeah, I don't think people realize what Koff did for our program. I remember when Kaufman pulled his hamstring.
His son just committed.
Yeah.
I remember just committed at Midway University, and I remember that kid used to
chirp,
annoy all of us.
Dude, no. I remember.
In the bullpen,
I remember
he'd
when
be like,
Taylor was
hey,
a kid.
throw me these baseballs.
I remember when Taylor was a kid and would come around on game day and be like, "Hey Nico, what's going on?" He'd be like, "Who are you? Who are you?" And he'd be like, like Taylor's like chirping. But I'll never forget this. I want to point this out. I watched Brian Kaufman pull his hamstring on walking 20 feet. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, no. But Koff was hilarious. I remember on the bus when we did the awards. And it was like, do you remember that? Like, where were we at?
Yeah.
No, it was Hattiesburg. It was the worst regional you could. I would not wish it on your worst enemy to be sent to, a national tournament site that's over.
Sterrett grounds that one and fielded by Burdett. So Burdett 2 for 2 so far on outs here in the top of the fourth.
Where you get sentenced to a
100% humidity on a 95-degre just raw temperature.
You've been playing in sleeves and a coat all year, and it's like you get sent to somewhere it feels like the tropical rainforest where like. I was dehydrated by walking around, but anyway, we had this trip coming back from Hattiesburg. It was like I don't know. It was over the
2 days.
Over the bus drivers' allotted hours they could drive, so we had to make it a 2-day trip. And I remember just being like, so we busted the trip in half, like I don't know, 8 and 5 or 8 and 6 hours, and especially after you get beat out, it's like, and the season's over. It's like, how are we going to entertain? That's when Jack Diesel got on the mic and was, you remember that?
Oh yeah, and we start. That was one of our an 8-hour roast session the team had. As that one's going to be fouled, so Ridge Clark have himself a 1-1 count.
That was 18. 18 was one of the most interesting years. We get on the bus and would not turn on a movie, would not turn on music, and somebody just got on the mic and just started making fun of everybody. But like, oh, what do you got about that? Oh, what about JJ? Hitting up Undy's girl or something. I was like, what? Like all the coaches were like, whoa, this is getting crazy here. Like we're just like it was almost like on the Comedy Channel when you like roast somebody. We're like, you remember that? Who led that? Was that Hensley or was that?
It was a whole crew, as that's going to tie the major league record for putouts and assists in a inning, as Burdett makes all 3 plays. And we'll head to the bottom of the fourth. More stories to come. Burnett makes 3 plays in the top half and will lead things off in the bottom, as we have a pitcher's duel brewing here in New Albany, as Ross Donaldson out for his 4th inning of work.
Mama Real going to be happy. I just talked to her, and she's like, how's it going? It's like, well, about to be home.
First pitch out by Burdett as Andrew Keener makes a strong throw.
Hey, if you didn't hear it here first, you just did. We'd be sitting in the coach's office for early season games. Guys like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't care if we win or lose. This, we'll make it fast. There's something about a high tempo, quick game. I don't know. There's just something about it. In 2021, when we won the, and I don't know,
that's going to catch a piece of flock. So the Grenadiers are going to have a base runner here with 1 out.
Did you watch the 2021 regional final game against Wesleyan?
On the video, no, but I did follow that game, and it was single after single after single
27.
after 27 single.
Death by 1,000. But anyway, like I remember that game. Like looking back on it, it was so. You remember that, Steve-O? Did the game feel fast when you watched that game? Like living that game was like, oh my God, they don't have 3 outs left. but it was a high scoring game. But it was just every play was bang bang. Like, everything about it was just fast, and I loved that. Those are my favorite games, win or lose, to be a part of, player or coach, that was just quick. Strike throwers, tempo.
That, and then, as Casey Brown squares to bunt and then pulls back for ball one, I think my favorite part about quick games is it gets to the most important part, which is the end. It gets you to the high leverage situations. That one's hit in the gap. Is that going to get down? That's going to burn the right fielder, so we may have our first run as Max Flock comes around, and he's going to come in to score. So an RBI double by Casey Brown, and we've broken the tie, and the first run belongs to the Grenadiers.
Great job by Casey Brown. It's something I told Brett when we brought Casey on. When he played at Midway a couple of years ago, I said in the conference tournament, I watched Casey Brown get some big-time hits for Midway, and, it's a selfless contributor. Obviously, being a catcher, in general, you gotta embody that to be good. But big hit, just to kind of true to form.
And that'll make way now for Braden Hazelwood. See if he can't get an RBI of his own. First pitch from Donaldson, breaking ball in the dirt.
Because I want to see Mackay unbridled. I want to see that. I mean, I know we got a little bit of a slow track here, but I just want to see I really do He's a guy, tools-wise, obviously got some big league bloodlines with his pops, but I want to see this dude, full bore, just cut loose. He can fly.
The 1-0 pitch beforehand. We're going to have a pickoff attempt, and they're going to get him.
No shot. Oh, boy, was cocked before the ball even got there. That's a terrible call.
So that's going to be the second out and erase the scoring threat for the Grenadiers. So it'll be now 2 away for Braden Hazelwood.
Off topic, was it harder for you to umpire the field or behind the plate?
I'd say behind the plate, as that one's going to miss. And I say that just because you're having to make a decision on every single pitch.
So I was the opposite. I felt like, I was a catcher, but I think behind the plate, minus.
That one is hit high and in foul territory. Will it stay in play? It will not, so Hazelwood will have a new life.
Minus, your rotations and stuff like that, but just in the field, it's hard not to anticipate, okay, you see this guy initiating a pickoff move, and, you turn around and you just, I don't know. It's weird. It's like, how many times did you sit there, in a game or in summer tournaments and go, that guy's safe, that guy's out, and you get out there and you're like, he is. I mean, we've all done the whole, he's out, he's safe.
The safe out call.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've done it a lot. Actually, one time I umpired a game here in the summer, and a guy by the name of Tom Crafton, Isaac Crafton's dad, was sitting on a bucket over here in the first base dugout and was like, you may be a great coach, but you are a terrible umpire. And I was like, hey, he's got a point. I said, that's enough. But I was like, he's right.
As Braden Hazelwood will draw a 2-out walk to bring up the 9-hole, and just say something about that, in a situation with your Braden Hazelwood, right? You got a guy in scoring position, 1 out. Now it's 2 outs after he gets picked off. It's still an important at bat because drawing that walk now turns over the lineup because now we're at 9 instead of going into, if he gets out, 9-1-2 to start the next inning. Little at-bats like that can make a big difference in this last third of this game.
Yeah, I think it's something to note that the Grenadiers have. They haven't really built on this year yet. I think they may have at times, but, especially the way Brett has his lineup, constructed where you have, Mason the 2, the bottom. I mean, if you can turn this lineup over here, it doesn't matter how many outs there are just in this situation. If you look last year with, Trevor Campbell and Mason White, but I mean, just years past. I mean, if you've got a good bottom of the lineup and they can kind of find a way to make something happen in different situations. I mean, especially with your most prolific hitter being in the 2 hole, man, there's I mean, like right here. You
one
get
right
a
up
hit
the
right
middle.
here. Ooh, nice play.
And a good play there by Carter Smith is going to extinguish it as Grenadiers do scratch across the first run of the game. So we'll head to the top of the fifth. Score now 1-0 IU Southeast.
Top of the fifth rolls in here in New Albany with Tate DeBoard leading it off for Ohio Christian.
Welcome to the podcast, Evo.
I'm really happy to be here as I pinch hit for Kyle Hawkins.
Audio gold. It sounds so good in my ears.
Happy to help out.
Steve-O, so let me ask you a question. So I've been kind of grilling everybody. Well, I guess Hawk, but what's your favorite part of all this? And time out. So Steven Newts joining us on the broadcast is, a fan favorite here. If you ever come to any type of event we have, and you say Steven Newts, you're just going to hear all kinds of just people clapping and cheering, and rightfully so. He makes the world go round for SID, but he's our SID here on campus at IU Southeast. Yeah, but going back to it, what is your favorite part of all this?
As that's sent back up the middle by DeBoard, a hot shot, and he will be the leadoff runner here in the fifth for Ohio Christian as they try and tie this one up. I would say, the highlights that I kind of look back on are when we're able to tell these stories on some of these kids who've been able to either overcome an obstacle or just have tremendous careers here. And then I think probably the thing that I'm most proud of is after winning the opening round in 2021, that first practice back on that Friday, as this one is swung on.
It's hilarious. I mean, do you remember all the media here and then them asking us? I mean, it's still a story below, like, so when did you decide you're going to, trying to go to Lewiston? And I was like, we were talking about Lewiston, and we know where it was at. And everybody was kind of like, ha ha. And we're like, no, we're serious. I remember going home and being like, now where's the World Series at?
We need to Google this. Oh, that one's going to get away.
Do not throw it.
And the runner moves to third. So the tying run is now 90 feet away.
I want to give credit, Steve-O. I mean, I don't think a lot of people understand. And I mean, I'm not even say I really understood at times, but just how much work it goes into you and Amanda and Hawk and Logan and, I mean, all the people. I mean, volunteers. I mean, look at basketball. When you really step back and look at the operation of, like, basketball, I mean, for most people who don't know, I mean, that's an intense operation from tickets to concessions to announcing to book, scores, broadcast. I mean.
Well, I think that's the sort of the beauty of small college athletics is you have just all of these people who put a tremendous amount of time in for either little or no money. Our official scorers, as that one swung on and missed even the count at 2-2. Our official scorers for basketball, Terry Spitznagel and Libby McMahon, have done that for over 40 years each for free.
For free.
and they show up every year. They want to do it.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Bright-eyed and
yeah.
bushy-tailed. Who we got on the team this year, you know? All the volunteer assistant coaches through all the sports who travel, and I mean, as you can speak to it better than anybody.
Well, I mean, when you're in it, you know, and I say this, and this is what I'm talking about. Like when you decompress after, you know, let's go, get your glove down and your glove out and your butt down. You know, it's like, or versus, you know, you got to make this pitch. It's like when you step back and look at it from this perspective now, it's like you realize, well, you get it. I mean, you've witnessed kind of my transition a little bit. It's like, man, it's incredible, man. I mean, it really is. And I think I want to highlight that. You know, I worked with, you know, Amanda Daly Weaver for almost 20 years. I mean, that is my entire adult life.
And
it's crazy.
And I think when we have talked about this off air, all of us have, the fact that at a place like this, that is a small college,
stepping stone, quote
stepping
unquote.
stone.
Yep. Yeah.
And we have all stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because the money's good. It's not because
it's because you don't talk to Steven Newts before 10:30 in the morning, or you're going to get, you know, a wink and a maybe
really,
just like a growl.
I would recommend not doing that.
But if you want to find a place to eat, Steven has ate at every single restaurant in this town, takeout or carry out. He knows all the honey holes.
I can hook you up. But that's the beauty of this place, is the people that have stuck around and put in this, tried to build this place into something pretty special.
Yeah. And well, I don't want to take this time to, you know, for our thousands of fans tuning in. I mean, I know it's congested airspace here, but thank you.
I appreciate that.
I
Thank
mean
you
that.
for 18 years.
18 years. And, you know, whether they pay me for 20 more or not, they're always going to have to deal with me for forever. My son's going to be here going, Dad said mow the grass. They're pushing me around one of these days like, let's go, buddy. No, I mean that. Like, you guys have, I don't know, just done so much. And I feel really honored. Okay, here. Oh, man.
Lifted into center. That's going to be deep enough to get the run in as White makes the catch. And that'll be a sacrifice fly to tie this one up. And there are two away here in the fifth.
Well, I mean, on a bright note, it's top five. And, I mean, at this rate, I don't know what his pitch count is. Do you have his pitch count over there, Logan?
Looks like he's at 53 pitches.
So he's good for 5 more.
Spencer Crane with the sacrifice fly there.
No. To be completely honest with you, these type of games are the ones that, as a coach, and I say this like wholeheartedly, I used to I'd be like, yeah, let's make it a tight one. You know, it's like it's gonna be. So I think that's why we always had a tough schedule when I played here. People are like, man, you play a tough schedule, man. No days off. It's like if I ever showed up to the field and thought like we were just gonna, you know, roll somebody, it was like, do I have to be there? Like, I mean, can I not just, you know, like current administration Obama from a headset somewhere, you know, in a lair in his jammies, like, you know, slow Joe up there just saying what somebody tells him to say? No, seriously, it just makes it more fun where you can, you know, you feel like it's tight.
Kenner gets hit there, so he'll be aboard with the go-ahead run. And you can probably speak to this now and then maybe the next half inning. Talk about what it's like as a coach, that thought process of putting together your schedule, especially for our program where you need to build a schedule where you can get in as an at-large bid.
Man, it's changed a lot now. I mean, ever since, you know, the different, you know, it used to be, you know, when I first started coaching, you know, the top 25 was like, they've always been good. They, you know, they're in, you know, I still have a problem with the top 25 now. I mean, for God's sakes, the preseason poll, they still base off last year's teams, and they don't do a new poll, I think, until like March 15th. But anyway, for me, I think building a schedule, I've always thought this. If you're going, and I mean, Hawk is, and you've probably heard me say it, if we know for a fact we're going to go out and we're going to be.
As the runner goes, he'll be in safely with a steal. Pitch was a strike, so it's a 1-2 count to Trey Henry.
If we were going to go out and just like go 2-Q in the tournament, and I say this and I feel like it's warranted, you know, we played in 14 championship games in my career out of 15 years. If we were going to go out, and maybe it's 13, I don't know, it's one of the two, but if we were going to go out and go 2-2 in the tournament, I probably would have been like, I'm just going to.
And that'll be a pitch clock violation.
Terrible.
So the count will even at 2-2.
If we were going to go out and, just for show, rack up a bunch of wins and not be competitive at the end, it just those were the moments that motivated me as a coach. So I always go back and try to build a schedule. Not only that, watching Billy Berry, who, was one of my idols in college baseball. Like, if you watch Tennessee Wesleyan play in a regional, game 1 of the regional, they always start their midweek starter. Game 2 is their Friday night guy. Game 3 is their Saturday game 1. And then if there is a game 4, which is it many times, with that perennial powerhouse where they even got to a 4th game in a regional. Like, I just thought, man, they're midweek guys throwing the first game of a tournament. It's kind of like how I learned how to recruit. I would get on people's rosters and
back up the middle. That'll be a base hit.
I would get on people's rosters and be like, where do they get these kids from? And be like, oh, they're getting it from Cypress Valley, California, and just call their coach and be like, hey, what do you got? He's like, I got some big player. Like, I just would try to follow, not reinvent the wheel, but I saw teams down south that were perennial powerhouses, and you look at their schedules, and there were a lot of times their weakest parts of their schedules at times was conference play. So I just really thought about the value in, testing your team. And I know all different kinds of coaches. Now it's different with 50 games. Like, okay, when you start talking about, 40-game winners, you're telling me you went 40-10? I mean, that's tough, man. I mean, when it was a 55-game schedule, 40-15 was realistic. 40-10 is tough now. So I think you go back to, okay, it's 35-plus win teams. But then again, what's a tough schedule? It's always the guy at the coach's roundtable like, we played a tough schedule this year. It's like, but you didn't win any of those games, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. Anyhow, for me, I think it was, like Brett's playing a schedule that I built. It's relentless. It's like a meat grinder. But I think at the end, like when you go into the postseason, nobody's going to show up across from you. Yeah, they're going to be in different color uniforms at some point. But it wasn't a team that you hadn't seen before in a color on the color wheel across the field. And I think that's what was real in the last, especially, from 2015 on, I think we really just felt comfortable in the postseason,
Right. An RBI single by Henry puts Ohio Christian in front here, 2-1. That one is low, and it's now 3-0.
Speeding up on the boys a little bit here. It feels like a big game, and obviously it's a conference game, so it is. But this little rally by the Trailblazers has the Grenadiers a little out of sorts here.
And that'll be a strike.
It's proven that if a pitcher goes 3-0 and the ball is close on the 4th pitch of the at-bat, it's proven that the odds are he's still going to walk the guy, so just call ball 4.
3-1 pitch. That's going to be shot into center. White will be under it to end the inning, but Ohio Christian strikes for a couple of runs, and as we head to the bottom of the 5th, they lead it 2-1. Hawkins back in a moment.
All right, welcome back to the bottom of the fifth here at the Cutter Sports Complex. Grenadiers top of the lineup up. Slater Shield. See if they can get back in this one after a 2-run spot by Ohio Christian.
And that is right. You heard a new personality on this podcast. That's what we're calling it. We're calling it the podcast. So, Logan, I got a chance to kind of get you on here and kind of corner you, I guess. So, kind of fill us in on your path to IUS and kind of how you've forged away in this this niche.
That ball's in there for strike 2. Yeah, I started in the fall of 2017 as a student. Sports journalism was always the path. That was always the goal since I was very, very young. Heard some good things about Professor Ron Allman here in the journalism program. Is that ball's grounded to second base, and it's going to be booted, so Slater Shield's going to get on, and the Grenadiers have arguably their fastest runner on base to begin the inning. And started in that fall and fell in love with it, wrote for the newspaper here. Obviously, newspaper is kind of a dying breed right now. Basically, I just sent an email one day and said, hey, anything that you guys want to do in the athletics department, I am willing to help. And I started taking tickets, and now here we are as the athletics operations coordinator, basically the assistant SID.
You said journalism, so one of my longtime assistants, Andrew Stanley, was a sports editor for the Gibson Star-Times. Shout out to Stanley, my day one. See, I disagree. I think now with one of my good friends, David Girth, who helps us out with the Astros, writing for a website called On the Farm, and just kind of like almost like a Substack. I guess I don't understand that much. I guess I'm proving myself to be a dinosaur, but I think it's really interesting. Like, I think Matt Talibi,
And what a play at shortstop. Diving play up the middle onto second base. They're going to call the runner out. Mason does get to first base as Brett Neffendorf's going to come out and ask for some clarification.
Ask for him to put on, do you want to borrow my glasses? Anyway, I'm curious because I think there's like hell, they just arrested a journalist the other day, or whatever. I know the charges were for like trespassing or something, but what I'm saying is for people to actually that have a passion, that have a unique perspective, and I'll go back to what I was used to say is perspective is reality, not perception. Mm-hmm. But I think it's interesting. Somebody has a devout passion for athletics, that, I mean, you've done a great job, and we're blessed to have you. I think I speak for all student athletes to have somebody that cares. It's just, that's what this is all about, right? Yeah. But what are the things that draw you to be good at your job or to have precision? Is it the people, the relationships, or the moments, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the relationships. As everyone has talked about that's been on the mic today, just the community we've built at this school is, I mean, you don't find this everywhere. So just falling in love with it and just talking to, like, coaches like yourself, just like accepting new people in, as that ball is roped back up the middle for a base hit. So Grenadiers first and second with one out. Yeah, just the relationships that we've built here, just the community we've built, and just seeing the interaction, man. People want to watch these streams, and we've learned that today. So just doing something as small as what I do, clipping highlights and posting them on Twitter or X now, if you want to call it that. And just seeing the interaction, and just getting the positive reinforcement, just the thank you for doing that. Like, I appreciate it, because they don't get to watch their games, obviously. Just something like that is just really cool for me.
Yeah, I think I speak for all of us. Like, somebody that has a positive outlook, and I think Amanda and I could probably relate as much as anybody because we've been here the longest. I mean, just seeing somebody that's just excited to to ride the Ferris wheel. What are we going to see today? The same stuff we saw at the top of the Ferris wheel last time we rode it, buddy. But it's awesome. There we go.
That ball's going to get down in the left field. Mason White around third will score. And Luke Powell into second base with an RBI double. So the Grenadiers, after giving up a 2 spot, tie it in the bottom of the 5th.
Yeah.
It might have been a single and advancing on the throw there, but nonetheless, second and third with one out.
No, I would say I think that's what in a society that what I see plagued as the need for recognition. You know, people see like guys hitting home runs and like flipping bats up. It's like everybody just wants to be recognized,
Yep.
whether that's because we have different color shoes or different color glove or, you know, a different windup or a different stance or, you know, I went to this guy to get lessons instead of somebody else or, you know, guys who sign out of high school. I mean, how many guys, I mean, you're a sports guy, you see sign into college and then never actually play for the college, you know, anymore. It's just, then why did you do it? It's just like they just want to be recognized. But I think for, you know, guys like Greg Opel, Joe Natterman, Kyle Hawkins, you know, what I'm saying is people that to go somewhere, seed the supermarket, be there for a decade, literally. I mean, Nat's been here for decades. I mean, you know, Ope's been here for over a decade. Hawk's been here for over a decade. I mean, me and Amanda have been here for decades. I mean, Steven's been here for over a decade. It's crazy to – I think that's what honestly makes this place different. Is in a
that ball is going to be
Burdette.
another hit by Burdette down the right field line. Here comes the Luke Powell to home plate, and the Grenadiers are going to take a 4-2 lead. Great piece of opposite field hitting there by Ethan Burdette, and all of a sudden the Grenadiers offense has found its stride.
Great to see. The Grenadiers, you know, I mean, absorb a punch in a way. It's weird. It's like when they get down the line and you're playing great teams, I mean, to go out there and think that a guy like Connor Sims is a great pitcher is just going to, like, mute great teams. It's like, just like Billy Barrios used to tell me, you're going to hit your way to the World Series. I remember thinking, dude, you've got 8 arms that throw 90+, you know? Yep. And then you go out there and we play them and beat them in the regional in 2021, and our guys had 27 singles.
That ball is going to be grounded to second base, on to first for the second out of the inning. Burdette does advance to second base.
It's great to see some fight in the boys, you know, because you're going to have to. I mean, to get, you know, to catch a meal in the later stages of this journey. I mean, you're going to have to be tough. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to be gritty. You're going to have to be resourceful. You're going to have to find a way to just, you know, find a tendon on a wing in the corner and just, you know, chew it off. I mean, just to like, you know, scarce calorie. You know, whatever it takes to stay alive, you're going to have to be able to do it. But, no, I'm interested in your thoughts on that. I mean, you have any thoughts you want to share with us, you know, that really stand out to you in your journey, or people like that have inspired you, whether it just be a student athlete thanking you for a highlight, or, you know, a parent or something that's really, you know, you've kind of found traction with to kind of like inspire you to keep going or be better?
Yeah, and as we're going to have a pitching change on the mound here. Yeah, I'll never forget, we went to the national tournament last year. Actually, it was a conference tournament for softball. I was lucky enough to go on that trip, and one of our players, Cassie Roman, hit a walk-off home run to advance the Grenadiers on. And I was having, you know, I was clipping it and I was posting and everything, and I was like, hey, just want to let you know I posted it. And she just said, she looked at me dead in the eyes and just says, thank you so much for what you do. And that was the first time where I was just like, whoa, like this is doing something, you know, because, you know, I was posting them and everything, and like they got interactions or whatever, but I had never had somebody actually just say, like, look me in the eyes and say thank you. And that was the first time where, like, okay, this does matter. You know, my place in this athletic department is kind of a big deal to people. So just something as simple as that, it really changed the way I looked at it, and I pursued a full-time career in it. That was the moment where I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
So like, we're going to like just go like 60 minutes here.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have 60 seconds, but like, so like where, you know, dreams, aspirations, goals, where do you want to take this start? And like, you know, if you could write the ending, what would it be doing? Like a sports writer? Would it be, you know, Stephen A. Smith?
Quite frankly, I think the end goal is just being an SID. You know, being in this job has shown me that, you know, we write articles for the website, and I'm lucky enough to do something called a player spotlight, where monthly we
great job. Those are awesome.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, and just being able to highlight one of our athletes every single month. I mean, so I'm getting the journalism itch. You know what I mean? Like I'm able to scratch that itch at this job.
Dude, you should freelance, just write about, you know, I mean that. Like I love to read. So, I mean, it's somebody that, you know, I am a devout reader. But I really do think, like, seriously, like, you know, just I told you about David Girth, and I'll actually share this with you off air, some of the stuff he's written on, like, pro prospects and, like, And my boss was like, dude, this is crazy. It's like and you know what's even more crazy is why does he do it? Because he just wants to do it. Because he just likes to go through and say, this guy's got a 60 grade fastball. This guy is trade bait. This is who he could go to. I mean, it's just crazy just because out of pure, like, people say, well, it's a hobby. Well, so what? I mean, people work their whole lives to spend their money doing what they want to do. So why wouldn't you spend the currency of your life and time by pursuing things that you have a passion about or that you love to do?
Exactly.
I think it's overlooked.
No doubt about that.
I'm over here like philosophizing
Hey,
today.
it's all good. That ball is in there for a strike. Yeah, I think you make a good point, though. As that ball misses for 1-1 count.
Well, as a dad and as a husband and as a, I don't know, I feel like I've done a lot. I'm not, but I'm definitely well traveled. I think it's, when you look back on it, it's like take the trip. If you really want that car, go buy it. If you really want to wear that, wear it. If you really want to say that, say it. If you love to read, read it. If you love to travel, go there. I went to Scotland last year, went golfing, and I mean, like, I was afraid to hurt the fairway, but I mean, I watched all these things, on TV over the years, all these, the great opens, and it's just like, I'm so thankful that I spent $15,000 that I didn't have to go play golf and just hack it up somewhere else. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
But still, it just reinforces what I'm saying. Like, for people out there that, want to take that girl on the date, go ask her. Or if you want to, go eat there, go eat there. It's like, man, Jeff Rabies is good. It's like, I promise it's worth it. Just muster up $200 to go eat it. I mean, that's a lot of money, but I mean, it's like experiences are what define our existence. And
yeah, that ball is going to be popped up into shallow right field. The second baseman will make the play, but not before the Grenadiers score 3 runs to take a 4-2 lead as we head to the top of the 6th.
Logan, you're the man. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Garrett Hill comes in for the Grenadiers and takes over for Connor Sims.
Good luck, Trailblazers. It's going to be tough.
I'll give you Sims' final line. He went 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs. Both of them earned 4 strikeouts and no walks. So good conference debut for Sims as he turns it over to the veteran. As first pitch is going to be lofted in, and that's going to get down in between the right fielder and the second baseman. So got a leadoff base hit and a runner for Ohio Christian.
still going back to it, man. Do you remember when Garrett Hill came in the conference tournament against Point Park? I mean, one of the top 5 highlights of just whoa. And like we waited all year. You know, a lot of times you wait for these moments in your life that seem kind of like just like you perceive to be pinnacles or summits of this journey, and you're gonna get there. You're like, it's kind of cool. Look at the parking lot down there; it's kind of small or whatever. Like, just the view isn't as pretty as you think. But watching him pitch in that moment was incredible.
Absolutely. And Hill faced Ben Starrett, the right fielder for Ohio Christian, as they look to try to answer right back. Fouls that one off.
OCU's got a little. I don't know. I mean, Blev did a great job. Obviously, former player, coach there, but like I don't know what it is about Evans' group. They got a little spunk in them, man. I don't know what it is. It's like they get kind of edgy and like, oh really? You know, it's like they want to like beat their chest, and
I think it's a little toughness factor and just kind of like, they're not gonna go away. Hill delivers a good pitch there, cut on and missed from Starrett.
Yeah, you know, one of the lessons that I always try to pass on to you guys, and I probably failed at this at times, but when I was in college, I remember when I first got to school every year for Mike Policastro, he'd like make us do stuff that we didn't want to do, like work on the field or condition, and like, you know, it was super hot in Tennessee, and he'd be like, "Are you mad?" We're like, "Yeah." Like, it's gonna make you tough. We're like, "Okay." And it's like, but there was, you know, then he would go back and talk about there were so many different ways to win, and sometimes you just gotta out tough somebody.
Yeah, the 0-2 pitch going to be fouled down the left field line.
And don't get me wrong, we had some great teams here, but we had some tough teams here. I mean, we had some gritty groups.
There was one head coach, I can't remember, and you'd probably remember, that made that point to like seek you out and tell you how tough it was to play against us. I don't know if you remember who that was. I feel like it was the year we went to the World Series. And the 0-2 pitch from Hill is going to be hit to Putnam, so 6-4 in time. So a 6-4-3 double play.
He loves the hammer. I mean, this guy's like, bah, bah, bah. I mean, sign this guy for a boxing match next Friday night. He's like, boom, 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 left, right.
So a great turn there by the middle infielders, and that's going to erase the leadoff hit. So 2 outs now, and that'll bring up the pitcher now.
It was Jeremy
Ridge
Kennedy.
Clark.
Jeremy Kennedy at Kaiser. He's now at Loyola. Amazing coach. One of the few coaches, if he takes Loyola to the World Series, he'll be the only active NAIA head coach that's taken 3 separate programs to the World Series. But he told us, he said, when I met him in the regional in 2017 when Kaiser beat us in the if necessary game, he said, I'm going to tell you something. I've been doing this a long time, been at Dallas Baptist, a lot of our schools. He said, you guys are the toughest. Like, I remember like going in the bathroom after we were leaving Kingsport, you know, because the rule is you can't, like, you know, can't use the bathroom on the bus. I mean, it's just like,
Yeah.
That's like kangaroo court.
As Stephen Larkins is going to run for the pitcher, as you don't get to see that rule used very often, the courtesy runner for the pitcher instead of the catcher, but that'll bring up Tate DeBoard.
OCU keeping it authentic and organic, Christian school, and we're going straight 9. You know, it's like we're just going to, like, you know, we don't need a DH. Anyway, well, if he did, he just throw Jesus Christ in there. Why not? But anyhow, what I was going to say was, I remember going to the bathroom and guys were walking out and being like, I want you guys to know this. And they played in the Sun Conference. And this gave me a lot of confidence on how to win the next time we were there.
As that one's going to be hit into left field. A good swing by DeBoard as long, little errant throw, but nothing to come from it. As a couple 2-out base knocks for Ohio Christian. They're not going away, and that'll bring up the catcher, Caleb Haller.
Yeah, I remember you being in the bathroom, walking out, and guys being like, I want you guys to know, me and Stanley, you know, a longtime assistant, they're like, you're the toughest team we've played all year. And I'm like, they just won't quit. You won't give up. And I mean, obviously, you know, Hector Marmol.
That's how we set the school record at that time for wins in 48.
49. It's 49 wins in 2017. 48 wins was in 2016 with, was it 48 and 16?
That was 45. That was 45.
You're right, 45, 48, and then 18 was the year we got pummeled by weather. That was the year we went
it was like 41 or 42, because
Yeah.
I remember we had never
the easiest
had
40 wins ever. It was just like, oh, we won 40 games. Well, we scored 8 in the first and 8 in the ninth every game we played.
Hill has a sign and delivers. That one in there for a strike, 1-1.
No, but I think you look back on it, I actually, when I retired, I was going through some of my stuff, looking at like regional finals, like, opening round finals, and thinking like, man, how many did we make it to? And I was like going back and thinking, oh, we made it to 2. It's like, what's your record in them? It was like, I'm 1-1. It's like, but
I was ready for that one.
I say I was 1-1. I wasn't. I was a fan that was as close to the field as you can get. But like just the efforts that we made, I think what spurred me to get to 17, and then as a coach, and then to get there again in 2021. And man, I wish you could have been there for that. Like the 2021 regional was crazy, man. It was
The
so
1-2
awesome.
pitch from Hill, breaking ball. That one's going to be well off the plate.
You're talking about Connor Free's last game. So in 2021, our first game in the regional, I started Lane Osterling, who had never started. I don't think he started a game the entire year, maybe 1 or 2. And we were down 6 runs before we got our second out. And then I brought Freeze in, who had thrown very limited time and threw 5 shutout innings against Warner. We're like, whoa. And then obviously you put Jacob Morley in, and he's walks the leadoff hitter, and then inside moves him, and they bunt him over, inside moves him, and gives us a shot. What's up with the whole
pitch clock violation, so it'll be a full count now. The runners will be on the move.
Man, that should, I don't know. I feel like if you're not intentionally, if it's not obvious that you're delaying
That one's fouled off.
the game for a pitcher or a hitter, I think we need to chill on that. If he's getting the ball every time and getting back on the rubber, which he is, and he's not breaking really the stride of the flow of the game, I think it's pretty outlandish to be calling pitch clock violations. But you did call it last year.
So another 3-2. Cut on and miss, and a huge strikeout there from Garrett Hill. So that's going to strand a couple runners, and the Grenadiers are going to take a 4-2 lead to the bottom of the 6th and look to extend, as we'll be back here in New Albany in just a moment. Braden Hazelwood will try to get things started for the Grenadiers in the bottom of the 6th. Could be a big momentum change as a big wiggle out of some danger there, and that's going to get down. So a leadoff base runner for IU Southeast. First pitch swinging was Hazelwood, and that's going to be a base hit. And that'll bring up Colin Long now. That's Hazelwood's first hit of the afternoon after a good day overall. Maybe things are trending in the right way for the Grenadier senior.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I mean, man, he's got it in him. Last year, watching him have a career year was pretty exciting. I think the ability to, to play every day, and I think this is something that you see in just transitions in general. You see it in professional sports. It's like Buck Showalter. I mean, Buck's a great manager, but like you see him get with like certain groups of player, organizations, and just like lightning in a bottle. It's like, I don't know what it is. Like last year, I think just him knowing that he's going to play every single day and every single game, it just, and I think,
I think it made strides for his confidence.
Yeah, just the ability to know that, he was a COVID kid, lost, every, the greatest year of my life was my senior year of high school, prom, graduation party, senior year of baseball, sports, all this stuff. And then, he lost that and then gets here and is a part of, obviously, the World Series team, And the next year was really tough for him. 2022 is probably the most talented IUS team, one of them to ever play here.
Bunted on and missed, so that'll run things even at 2-2 for Colin Long.
Learned to play a new position. He was a high school shortstop, got here, really hasn't played infield besides first base. Pretty much his whole career he's played outfield and, first base, but really to find a home run when he played every day. I mean, his numbers were pretty gaudy last year. I think he hit close to.
That one's hit high and kind of into no man's land. Is it going to be fair? It is fair. So the home plate umpire makes the call, and that's going to be a hustle double at second as he was right on the heels of Hazelwood. Hazelwood will move into third. So a good start here for the Grenadiers. We'll see how things transpire and if they're able to scratch across a couple.
But, I mean, I remember, don't quote me on it. I think last year him and Goody, he had like 8 home runs last year. I think him and Goody had 8 or 10. I mean, maybe he had 10. I mean, it was close.
Yeah, Hazelwood, I think at one point was leading the team in home runs. And then
And he had some no-doubters last year. The one he hit at
West Virginia Tech. We had a slew of no-doubters there. That was a good weekend for us. As now lineup turns over for Slater Shield. As first pitch to him, gonna miss low.
I did see Slater hit a home run this fall, just as a Dorito.
No, it was a bag of Flaming Hot Cheetos.
Okay, well, something like a Dorito or like a
during
nacho
the Halloween
or a piece of pizza or something.
So the 1-0 to Slater, that'll miss outside. As this is a big moment here in this game, as it's still just a 2-run ball game, but the Grenadiers knocking on the door trying to break it open.
That's something that Coach Neff's done a good job of that I wish I would have done more of, is kind of, just let the guys have fun like the day he did. The pizza for or not the pizza, the birthday cake for leap year, birthday for Mace. And, the Halloween game, my son loved that, but we were just kind of like, wow, look, these guys are playing in these costumes. I mean, what about, like, Cade Reynolds' costume looked like, I don't know, it was like the one where it looks like the guy's sitting down, but, like, you're standing
the
up.
squatty potty.
Yeah. It was really funny. But I thought that was, like, really cool. And not only is, Jana super involved, which I think is great, and we're blessed to have them and their whole family. And actually, the Neffs, Mark and Cheryl, are making their way out in April to spend a good amount of time with us, which, Brett's dad's a very storied athletic director in the Pacific Northwest, and we went out there, me and my wife did a couple years ago, and spent some time with them in Oregon. They live in Bend, Oregon. If you've never been to Bend, Oregon, I challenge the listeners to plan it on a vacation.
Well, that walk by Shield sets the stage for Mason White to do some damage. Bases loaded here, nobody out. Ohio Christian will play the infield in.
No bueno. No place to put him. Hopefully Mace just stays short and compact and finds barrel and try to get too big here.
Clark here, true submarine guy, so see if Mace is able to get something elevated. That one's going to be fouled off, out of play.
Couldn't ask for a better matchup. Lefty on righty, and not to mention seen the ball for a long time.
Yep.
I always hated, though, hitting with the bases loaded. I don't know.
I haven't hit since I was 16, so I'm not going to have an opinion here as Clark comes set, ready to deal. That one's going to be hit and through the right side, down the right field line. So that's going to be extra bases, and that's going to be multiple runs as a short track, and Shield kind of slowed up, and they're going to try to get him, and he's going to be under that tag.
Great slide.
That's going to end up being a bases clearing double that didn't get more than 175 feet away from home plate. So a big time spot for the senior from Evansville. Score is now 7-2 IU Southeast. And we're going to have a mound visit, and it looks like a pitching change. So Grenadiers strike for 3 on the double by White, and we'll be back here in a moment. New pitcher for Ohio Christian will be number 22, Lucas Alexander. This will be his 5th appearance, all out of the bullpen. Boasts a 10.8 ERA across only 3 1/3. So still getting his feet wet in this 24 campaign, and he's going to step in to face Cody Putnam with nobody out and a runner on second.
What are you thinking here? What are we doing? Look at the third base. I'm thinking drag.
Yeah, pretty deep. And first pitch, good breaking ball in there from Alexander.
This is always interesting for me, and this is no knock on OCU, but like there's a big moment, kind of busted open, like then we go to the pen. It's like, but you got a 9-inning game tomorrow. You know, one would think that teams that maybe, well.
Another breaking ball. That one's going to miss inside and a little high.
I got to speak for both IU Southeast and OCU, and just teams that are, trying to find their identity early. It's like one of the Achilles heels, obviously, do we have enough pitching or how are we using the pitching that we have? And it's like you still have another, obviously this game, you lose this game, you lose the series, but, a lot can happen in a 9-inning game.
The 1-1. That one's hit hard. That's going to be right at the left fielder, Crane. He's going to make a leaping catch, so good swing by KP, but right at him.
I think
for
there's
the second out.
Something to be said.
Or first out, rather.
Like your opinion on this one, like knowing when to concede is a true art. You see it in the major leagues.
Well, and this is something that we talked about while we were coaching together last year, right? And
that's right, we did that.
You made the point to, early in your career that it was never a conversation like that. But
it's like we're not quitting.
But I think it's how do you set yourself up to be most successful? Because it's a marathon, right? It's not a sprint. Does each game matter? Absolutely. As the first pitch to Powell is going to be outside. But how do we set ourselves up to be most successful in the long run?
But, like, how do you do it? And that's where I think the manager, I don't know. I'm not saying to anybody listening that I ever quit, but there is a way to be like, and we're gearing up for the next one. It's like, you find a way to kind of – and sometimes it'd be like you have a twin bill midweek. And, I mean –
that one's going to be grounded to the second baseman and play in plenty of time for the second out.
That's what fascinates me the most about Division I baseball is like you see like these midweek, double, like it's like, a Tuesday, Wednesday series where somebody, like Austin Peay goes down to Mississippi State and plays Tuesday and Wednesday. It's like, and then you have a 3-game set on the weekends. It's like you're talking about how many, these are 9-inning games, right? But I think there's a candor or a way to go about like, okay, this one's probably out of reach. What's going to set ourselves up to get it within reach? And I think that's, nobody ever won the Derby running the mule. I mean, maybe they did. I don't know the history of the Derby.
Yeah, never been to it, so I don't know. First pitch breaking ball in there for a called strike. And I think that's just a conversation that opens up for more dialogue today for baseball coaches, right, with the power of analytics and just as that one's fouled. Watch out, Greg Opel. But I think with so much data and just statistical backing for certain decisions, I think it opens up conversations like that. And I think you're still there. I don't think there's a right or wrong opinion on it, but it just opens up. It's like, well, I probably wouldn't have thought this, but the overwhelming statistical data says X.
Yeah, it's crazy because there actually is something on that I had read or seen that there's an owner or owners at the major league level that are considering, like the value of position players that can pitch. Because there's times in the year where it's like...
I mean, Ohtani, I think, has spearheaded that conversation on an elite level, obviously.
Yeah, but I mean, Ohtani's like the first.
Unicorn.
I mean, you look at like Brendan McKay, I mean...
As that's slashed foul.
Like Brendan McKay was I mean,
he was ahead of Ohtani.
Yeah, but you look like Brendan McKay and who was the kid from A.J. Reed. But like, you look at A.J. Reed hit 20 home runs in the SEC and was like... weekend starter, and like Brendan McKay, I mean, he made the ACC look like.
That one's hit out, and is it going to get down? No, a great play out there in right field by Starrett to end the inning. So good diving play there by the OCU right fielder.
Stay on and talk about this real quick because I think it's interesting. Where do you think baseball is going in that? Because most people. It's like, hey, what do you do? Do you pitch or you hit? Do you play? And people are like, you can't play two ways. But you got, guys who played like 3 sports, in high school and then went on to play major Division I. And then, so why is it the 162 game factor? Or I think a lot of it is you can't pitch and hit. You know why? Because most coaches don't know how to coach a two-way player.
I think that's definitely part of it. Another is, from a holistic standpoint, when you like step back and just look at the history of whether it be baseball, we'll just use obviously like MLB, the upper echelon top 1% of baseball players are doing X. To find someone that can do two things at the most elite level, I think is more unique. Now, I think there's been more people that were able to do it that just kind of back to the old school mentality and where baseball is very like old school minded to where that's not what we do. Sorry.
You remember Micah Owings?
The name sounds vaguely familiar.
So he played for the Diamondbacks. I know he played for the Reds, but like, I mean, I would love to actually take this to the podcast maybe one of these days. But like I got like Micah Owens. Like Micah Owens raked as a pitcher and pitched. And he was he was probably profiled as like a 4, I don't know, but it's like that guy raked as a pitcher. Why couldn't he be on a, in some other capacity where he could? I don't know. I think it goes back to people leading the people.
So Spencer Crane will lead things off for Ohio Christian as Gary Harrell looks to try to shut the door. First pitch from him, however, will be a ball as we're in the final frame here. Grenadiers lead this one 7-2.
It kind of a deeper dive into like, why hasn't there been a female president? Because I'm telling you right now, I have worked for females that are incredible leaders. Like, why couldn't – it's just like there's so many things. It's like, well, you can't go two ways. Why? You don't know how to coach them. It's like, well, that's not – doesn't mean you can't go two ways. I just would love to see something, I don't know. I know that's kind of outlandish, but I mean that. Like, why can't there be more to why can't kids in high school around here in the Greater Louisville area play more than one sport? Like, really?
I'll be Andrew Keener now as Crane flew out. Good effort out there by Hazelwood to track that down. First pitch from Hill is a called strike.
I mean, just like when we got to IUS, why'd you take IUS's job? I mean, they haven't won over 20 games since NAM. It's like, well, we're about to win 50.
And it happened as Hill strikes for the second time.
Yeah, OCU's got a tough road with, like I said earlier, with Hill late. Man, he's good.
And the 0-2 pitch.
Bring
that one's going to be thrown right at Flock, and he's going to make the play in plenty of time. So IU Southeast needs one more out here in the top of the seventh to sweep the day, and that's going to be the center fielder for Ohio Christian that's going to try to delay that.
The reason why I say this stuff as we're getting ready to get off here is I think that's the stuff that really inspired me, as my counterpart standing around us would tell you. It's like, tell me you can't do something. It's like, we're about to do it. It's like, that's what I used to love. It's like, man, Point Park's pretty good. They're joining your conference. It's going to be tough. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Lauren Torres and the Pioneers, I mean, they're playing for blood, man. I mean,
it's a tough bout every time.
But and I've said this publicly and privately.
That one's going to be chopped on to Cody Putnam at short, makes the throw, and that's going to do it. So Grenadiers are going to take this one 7-2 and win both ends of the doubleheader today.
First conference series win.
First conference series win. That's going to move them to 10-11 on the year. Now 3-2 in conference. That makes Ohio Christian 3-12 and 1-4 coming on the year. Winning pitcher in Game 2 will be Connor Sims, as he's going to get his first win, I believe. Yep, he is 1-1 on the year now.
Final thoughts, Hawk. What do you see the Grenadiers? You saw them last week. I wasn't here for the whole weekend. Improvement?
I'd say big improvement, a more holistic offensive game, and I think the pitching staff did a far better job at attacking early, getting ahead in the zone. As you saw, like the inning where got roughed up a little bit. Just a little too much nibbling, as and Sims getting kind of to the end of the leash, getting a little fatigued, and
that's his first moment, high leverage moment.
Absolutely.
In college.
Saw him get a little erratic. I think that's kind of that being an isolated moment rather than a norm. I think is a big difference from last week, and I think it's going to be vital for the Grenadiers to continue to build off that, especially when you play a day like today where it's long 2 games, and now we don't know when the third game is going to be played, right? It's slated for noon tomorrow, but weather impending, we don't know. So if you end up playing on Monday, for example, as we have some weather moving into the area, you can't lose that or think, oh, that was so long ago. And, no, we have to continue to keep the pedal down, stay on the gas, right? You can't get
if it does that
passive.
too, then you play Monday, you play Tuesday, and then what if your conference series gets moved up? And a lot of people, listeners, probably don't understand this. I know if the former players are listening, it's like next thing you know, you turn into we're playing 4 games in 5 days or something crazy, and that's a lot to ask early on. But hey, that's what the end looks like. The end looks like, hey, boys, whether you feel good, bad, just like in 2011, the conference tournament and the NAIA World or Regional calls us at 9 o'clock at night and says, hey, listen, we've got weather tomorrow. We're going to ask you guys to come back tonight at 11 o'clock at night. Our guys are literally ready to go to bed, and we got to load them up, get back there, and play a regional game. So, yeah, I'm definitely hopeful. I think the guys look good. I think
definitely a step in the right direction today, as they will take, like I said, both ends of the doubleheader, and and early on they moved to that 1 game away from 500 slot, so there's still some hurdles to climb, but that's a big thing early, right? Once you get there, and then you're all steam ahead.
All
right?
brakes, no gas. I mean, all gas, no brakes. Once you cross over the 500 mark, just like last year, it's over. It's like you're never going back. You're not going to be chasing that proverbial finish line of feeling good about it, at least this is what our record is. But I don't know, I thought they look energized today. OCU got a good club. Just I think the Greenies are starting to know where to put people, when to put them there, and there's a lot of life and a lot of fight, and we saw that late, especially working on the field to get the field ready to play. I mean, I know yesterday when I talked to Brett, they were like, like sump pump and pushing water. And like for a lot of listeners that don't know this, whether it's parents, anybody involved, I mean, to make these games even happen, I mean, these guys don't have a field crew. I mean, they are the field crew.
I was talking to actually a facilities guy up at UIndy, and he's petitioned on his campus, these players should get some form of a field management certificate, right? Because
Absolutely.
there is, especially in a small college, non-Division I or Power 4 level, I mean, they are spending hours on hours trying to get the fields ready to make them playable and knowing what it looks like and what it takes. We've all been there, and that's why you and I have both mentioned, like, it's very nice to show up to the field and not have to worry about that.
Well, Hawk, real quick, man, it's always a pleasure.
Always, and if you are staying in tune to the socials, we'll see when this next game will be played. As of right now, tune in tomorrow at noon. And until next time, for Ben Real, I'm Kyle Hawkins, and we'll see you guys later.